So, Travis, how's it going?
Going pretty good, man.
Good.
Just, traveling around, getting to see the cities we're going to be visiting here real shortly.
Yep. And now, tell me about the new Nitro Circus Tour and how much has it kind of evolved over the past tours?
It changes so much from tour to tour, and it's awesome because, not just with the tricks. I think, that's something that the guys that are into action sports are going to be blown away by. But at the end of the day, it's a show. So I mean, a lot of the people that come, probably 80%, they wouldn't know the difference between a double backflip and a triple backflip. Mm-hmm. But it's the show. It progresses. It gets better. The announcing, the understanding of what people like. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much the same around the world. Although we went to a few places like in Japan and in Germany, a couple of little skits didn't relate over there. So we're learning how to adapt the show. Mm-hmm. But I think the coolest part, just it's a whole new theme, whole new look, whole new feel. But at the end of the day, it's built for people that don't have a long attention span. It's built to it's like a rock concert. You've got great music, you've got fireworks, pyro, explosions, and you've got amazing riding. It pushes the boundaries, and that energy on the floor is what the people can come to expect.
Yeah, and so people who've been to like a tour before, is this going to be? Can I expect like a whole different a different show, a different performance?
It's quite a different show. I mean, performance-wise, it's a completely different show. Yeah. But that's from night to night. I mean, these guys continually progress, and this is it's a pretty good time for coming to Canada because we'll have the new format kind of figured out. Mm-hmm. We'll drop the segments that don't have as much response, and we'll pick up because this is a whole new tour for us too. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, even last year, but 2 years ago when we came to Canada, a year and a half, our final tricks there were are more or less our starter tricks now. Yeah. It's amazing how fast action sports evolves.
Mm-hmm. And now, how much time and preparation actually goes into the show? Like as much of them like designing the skits, the performances, even like getting like the trick routines down, that kind of thing.
It is a 24/7 operation, and that's the beauty of it right now is that we have so many great athletes. Everyone's like, oh, how do you come up with new stuff? I'm like, the problem is coming up with stuff that's not new stuff, but stuff that's going to keep the guys alive. Because everyone's like, yeah, we should do this. And we're like, this was a horror. I immediately regret this decision. It's a horrible idea. I want to jump a kayak or whatever. I'm just throwing something out there. And you get on the ramp, and unfortunately, Jolene Van Voot was testing a new contraption, and it's tough because she wants to be more and more in the show, because she's the first girl to double backflip a bicycle, first girl to front flip a bicycle over a gap, first woman to front flip a motorcycle, only like the 7th person in the world to ever front flip a dirt bike. Like the girl is absolutely amazing. But she just wants to be in every segment. She was doing the pit bikes because we added the small bike segment where they're doing everything we're doing on the big bikes, but it's even more extension because they're on these little tiny toy like XR70 or whatever. Yeah. So been fun, but Jolene unfortunately she broke her nose and her jaw and her elbow, and it was just in testing, and we had this whole thing set up, just all this, all the pads, the airbag landing, everything, and she found a little nook and straight into a pole. So she'll be good, be healed up, but hopefully she'll come on tour, especially to these stops, just to wave, say hello. But it's been tough for her.
Yeah, I can imagine. She's a bit of a Canadian hero, so it'd be nice to see her at least make the trip
worldwide. Yeah. No, I'm sure. Well, I can't speak for her, but I'd be very surprised if she hadn't come up. But unfortunately, she won't be riding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of to be expected, I think.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, obviously the things you do are risky, and there's always a chance that something can go wrong. Now, how much do injuries of your regular crew? How much does that play into the show preparation? Like, so for instance, Jolene now getting hurt. Like, how much do you have to adapt the program?
The show, it's really wild when someone gets hurt. You have 30 of the you have 20 of the best athletes in the world, and you have 10 guys that are extremely durable.
Yeah.
So those guys will go out, say, Nitro Circus, either do something that no one else can do or do something no one else is willing to do.
Yeah.
So, the funny parts of the show and where it kind of goes in and out, those guys, I shouldn't say we can replace them. No one, it's a big family. No one wants to have anyone get hurt or whatnot. But, there's a lot of people that can step up and be like, I'm going to take the couch down the ramp. Yeah. Or, like something like that. But when you have someone like Jolene, or we have a lot of unicorns in the show. Like, there's not a lot of girls that are tough enough to do this. They don't even do it to start with, but to do it night in and night out, to be hurt, to be bruised, to be broken ankle, and Jolene's always a bucket of ice, and she's so tough. So we don't have a lot of Sheeny. He's the only guy in the world still doing double backflips. No, there's no if he gets hurt, there's there's no one else in the world that still want to do that trick.
Yeah.
So there are a few acts that can't be replaced. But at the end of the day, you won't really notice it in the show. Even the biggest trick that goes down, there's so much other stuff, and it's such a good flow that but for me personally, I want to give, that 10% or that 20% that come there that know exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah.
I want them to be like, I've never seen that. That is the biggest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's our goal.
And that's a good goal to have, because, I mean, it's nice to appeal to everybody, but it's also, you want to appeal to the people that know what they're seeing.
My role is to, like you just did the movie Action Figures. It comes out October 20th. But, we spent more than we'll make back. We spent so much money on ramps. Just trying to get a quadruple flip on BMX, a triple flip on motorcycles. We got them both. We did, all this other stuff, this airbag landings, like $80,000, all this R&D, and that didn't work. So we got another one that, now we have all this stuff for safety. That we won't get the money back, but it's our job as Nitro Circus to invest in the future of the sport and try to keep these guys healthy. And you'll see a lot of times we'll have tricks where someone's like, I want to try something, I don't know if I'm going to land it. And we'll bring pads out. And then you get all the haters who are like, oh, well, he didn't land it to dirt. Like, no, but he'll live.
Yeah.
And eventually, halfway through this tour, if he's doing it consistently, we'll take the pads out. Yeah. And that's kind of how this show just is always evolving.
Yeah, and then you're always going to have somebody that's going to criticize something about something ridiculous, right? Like
yeah, but at the end of it's hard to make it show. I didn't make it through last year's North American tour because James Foster was doing triple flips and he crashed almost every night and he landed the triple flip. And I was like, you land the triple flip, dude, on this ramp in the show. Yeah. Like I'm doing a front flip Indian air. Like no one's ever done it. He landed. I was like, oh boy, here we go. But that's everyone just kind of motivates each other. Yeah,
that's good. Now, like you mentioned it before, that everybody kind of wants to push the limit. Like where do you kind of draw the line and say, you know what, that's a bit that trick's a bit too much.
Yeah, it's the beauty of it is that the guys on tour they're literally the best. You don't become the best by being crazy or taking unnecessary chances. They're really calculated. They're really smart. You wouldn't know that from what you see because that's our job is to make it crazy, make it just the craziest stuff possible. But these guys, they take that calculated risk, and you got to figure with 30 guys, if 2 or 3 of them takes the big risk every night, that's still rotating through pretty good. Where you don't have to, once every 2 or 3 weeks, you're like, all right, tonight's my night. That guy, our Willie's hurt or someone's Jolene's not in this one. I got to step up, and then maybe that becomes routine. And 3 shows later, instead of that being a big risk, you're like, I can do this, and you're pretty confident on it. So, it's always that. How much do you risk? How much do you go? And there are injuries, but I think that's why people come to watch Nitro. It's not Cirque du Soleil. It's not point your toes and see you can do it more perfect. Yeah. It's who impress me. Yeah. Who can do something that's never been done before.
And there is always that margin of error, right? And I mean, everybody there knows the risks and accepts them, right?
That's it.
And so now, how is your risk versus reward kind of feeling changed now that you've got a family?
Risk versus reward is kind of. I always say I'm a risk analyst. Yeah. And it always changes for everyone in every situation. I feel like I have less to prove, but still for myself, I'm very competitive. I want to be out there. I want to be with all these kids. And when I see something new, like I crashed the other day, it was just something really silly. But went out and just landed and slid out in the landing and I come back and I'm all bloody. My wife's like, what are you doing? Like I was like, it looked like fun, you know? So it's tough. And with 2 kids, I definitely, we know, because last year my daughter was 8 months. She was just starting to walk. And I had a broken leg, tib fib. Yeah. And it was the most painful thing in the world for me to see that she was up and walking like, come on, Dada, bikes, Dada, ride, Dada. And you're like, I can't, I can't even get up. So, definitely try to stay as healthy as possible, but always do. At the end of the day, though, I want them to see their dad and their mom passionate, loving what they do, going out, chasing their dreams, and waking up every morning with a smile. And I feel like that's a bigger thing is for me as a parent than, oh man, I can't do this because I might break a wrist. Yeah, and now do you want to instill those same sort of values in your kids? Like you want them to be willing to take that calculated risk? In life, in general. I would love, if I could do anything as a father, it's that my kids take away from action sports. Hopefully they're into golf or tennis or something else, but at the end of the day, whatever it is, even if it is action sports, they follow their mom's footsteps and become a skater or me and become a motorcycle rider or a BMX rider, whatever they want to do, if they're passionate about it and they love what they do and they grew up around all these uncles and aunts of just the most passionate, motivated, yeah, they might be a little ADHD, they're a little rambunctious, but that energy is so infectious, and I hope that they take that on the rest of their life.
And now, I mean, speaking of risk and reward and that kind of thing, how intense was it having the triple backflip done at your place?
You know, they always say video doesn't do it justice. This is a quote they hear all the time, but when you look at this, people always get there and they see the ramp still set up, and they're like, was that a hook? Like, what is that? I was like, oh, it's a takeoff ramp. And everyone's looking, they're like, no, that's not what we saw on TV. It's a 37-foot tall takeoff ramp. I mean, X Games jumps are just, I can almost reach the top with my hand.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're 9 feet tall. This is 37 foot tall. It's more than three times, almost to 4 times bigger.
It's almost 4 stories.
Yeah. I mean, and it's almost vertical. It's 81 degrees. And he's hitting it at 60 miles an hour, highway speed, going in the air. Like, just to do the jump is so mind-blowing. And to do a triple backflip, I mean, he's finished his 2 flips at the top, and from ground level, that's about between 93 and 96 feet, depending on, you know, which jump it was or how he popped off the lip. But you're looking, and you've got to go, you're starting to drop. You got a 250-pound motorcycle over your head, and you look back, and what you see is 96 feet. You see the takeoff. And, like, even to the bag jump we had there, I couldn't commit. I was like, this is, like, it's too big. Like, this is beyond my risk. My reward is not, no matter what it is, I'm going to poop myself on the takeoff. I can't do this. So it was awesome to see that Josh Ian, he's the most fit, hardest working freestyle. Like, he doesn't have a lot of flair. Like, freestyle's all, no offense to him. Like, Paget has the most flair. He's got the most style. He's as far as freestyle stuff, there's no one that's doing tricks like Paget. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's like the Mike LaRocco. You know, back in his day. He's Sheeny just goes out. He works really hard. He's a very calculated person, and his riding style's calculated. But he's doing the biggest tricks. So when someone does a triple backflip 96 feet off the ground, it doesn't matter what his style is. You're like, that is awesome. So he's one of my favorite people.
I don't care who you are. That is impressive. That blew my mind. I'm like, no.
What's going on?
I presume that's something that you'd never be interested in trying?
No, with the right landing. That's to what he did to go into wood. No, absolutely not. Like, I don't have my especially now that it's been done. I mean, I've been working on it for 4 years, and he stepped in and he got it in a year and a half, and I was like, power to you, man. That's awesome.
That's pretty crazy. And now, are there many tricks that you've done in the past that you just think, you know what, it's not worth it anymore? I've done them. I've proved that I can do them. I'm gonna kind of.
I always say that, but like last year when Sheeny was still, in my opinion, the biggest trick, just not most technical, but the biggest trick until he did the triple, like in the world, was still a double backflip. So he's like, all right, this is my last show. Then I'm gonna go to your house and do the triple. I was like, all right, I'm sending you off in style. We're doing side-by-side doubles. He's like, all right. It's like I promised myself, my mom, I was like, my wife, I'm like, I'll never do that again. And I crashed, and it sucked. But we got pretty good save. We got the pads and stuff that I wasn't going to do it straight to landing. But I hit, and I got up, and the wind knocked out of me, and I had whiplash. I'm like, that's why I don't want to do any more of those. But it's still fun. I had a great time that day. Just that adrenaline, the nerves, and it's why you race. It's why you ride. It's why you know.
And you got up and walked away, so it was a good day.
It was a good day.
And now, you spend so much time racing cars and doing this. Any chance you're going to race the bikes again? Like, will you do the straight rhythm again? Will you do that kind of thing?
No, straight rhythm was fun. Everyone says, are you going to race? I said, no, like, I'll go down. Hopefully, if my daughters start racing, or my wife's actually starting to, she's riding a lot more, maybe picks up racing. I'd love to go race locals, go to Budds Creek or, whatever, and just have fun on my bike. But there's a big difference between having fun on your bike and trying to be competitive, with Roxon and all the, Reed, I'm talking about all the older guys now with Reed and Stewart, but Tomac, these guys, every year they get more and more fit. Every year they get faster and faster. So, but even taking pace away, which right now they're so much faster than I ever was, and 4 strokes or something that I never really want to. Like, I'm just a 2-stroke guy, which, whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to take about 3 to 4 months of training, and I don't mean like, oh yeah, I trained today. No, it's eat, sleep, breathe, train, nothing else. Drop Nitro Circus, drop everything else, and you go where X Games used to be something that I could go and practice 2 weeks for, and have enough tricks to be competitive. Now it's, it's like everything's just getting bigger and crazier. But racing, I'm not physically healthy enough. I don't have an ACL or PCL on my right knee. My left ankle's fused. My right foot is completely fused, like where it doesn't rotate at all. Shoulder falls out. Like, not a big deal. I do my ins and outs, blah blah blah. You do your basic. I ride 100 miles or so on a week on a bicycle. Yeah. But there's a difference between riding 100 miles a week on a bicycle and training and pushing yourself to 200 heart rate and that kind of stuff. So
for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a long story long, but no. Yeah. maybe a straight rhythm, but definitely not a real race.
Yeah. And now, does Red Bull encourage you to do other events of theirs, or is it just kind of do they let you kind of decide what you want to take part in and that kind of thing?
Honestly, Red Bull being like when I said I wanted to do straight rhythm, they're like, we were like, everyone's like, how much Red Bull pay you? I'm like, they were about to pay me not to do it. Yeah. They wanted me there. Like, look, you can be a brand ambassador. We kind of like with Nitro Circus. Like right now, I still ride. I still love it. I'll push the limits and figure out the ramps, and man, I love building ramps, shaping stuff, like building landings and working with airbags and trying to get the safety. But when it comes down to actually taking it to the dirt, not my department anymore. Yeah. And that's like Red Bull saying, hey man, come ride the course, do the intro, like use the helmet cam, explain the course, maybe ride behind someone. They're like, we don't want to see you get hurt. We don't want to see you, like when I say wingsuit, Red Bull's like, you push everything a little too far. You think, now you can step back. So it's kind of that weird point in my life where I do have great sponsors like Red Bull, but they're more helping me help the sport, like be that ambassador that can get things done for the riders that are coming up. Yeah. So I'm old. Basically. And so, did you tell them before you jumped out of the plane without a parachute, or was that kind of like an afterward? That was a while ago. But I had actually gone to Red Bull first. This is before Nitro really had any legs of its own. And I said, look, I'd like some help. And it went all the way to the top, and Austria came back and said, you know what? You're not a professional skydiver. We can't help. So they pulled all the Red Bull Air Force, which is the best in the world. Like, if you're the best at skydiving, you're on the Red Bull Air Force. And I was like, well, great, you took away all the... So I found some special forces guys. Yeah. I'm like, never leave a man behind. These are my guys. So it was perfect. Worked out.
And now, how much of an impact has Red Bull had on your career?
I think Red Bull is one of the few sponsors. Like, they're not someone that's going to be like, hey, here's $3 million, go wear a hat and drink Red Bull. They're like, okay, what can we do to help you? Like, okay, we're not going to pay you this huge salary, but do you want to race the car? We'll make it happen. We'll get you the best team, the best co-driver, the best experience, the best car. You want to do F1? Okay, we're going to start you out in a karting program. We're going to, whatever I want to do, Red Bull, or whatever I have wanted to do, Red Bull has been able to facilitate a way to let me chase my dreams. And that's something that I hope, Nitro's starting to turn into that, where we have some more legs. We have, a show on NBC. We have, live shows all over the world. And my goal is for any kid that comes up and says, hey, or adult or whatever, I've got a trick that no one else can do. I believe I can do it. This is why. This is my credentials. To say, okay, let's make it work. Let's make it safe. And that's what Red Bull did for me. And that's what I hope Nitro can do. Provide a platform for greatness. Yeah.
Now, do you ever see yourself kind of transitioning into, say, stunt work for movies and that kind of thing?
Yes and no. Definitely a lot of... Jolene was awesome, and she did a lot of stuff for Catwoman, and she was on set the whole time. She was like police officer. She just jumped into everything. And honestly, most of the action sports world, even Andy Bell, he runs his own production company, but he also does stunt work. Yeah. And just half the commercials that I see with cars that are sliding in it, they're all our friends. They're all X Games guys. They're Tanner Faust and Reese Millen and all these guys. So it's pretty neat that is an option, and with our expertise, we can go there. But that's not usually about being you have to be good to do that. Yeah. But for us, a lot of times it's, let me try to be the best. Let me do something that's never really been done. Yeah. And not kind of, I don't know, stunt work's good, but there's a lot of waiting in stunt scene, stunt work.
Yeah, it's a whole different kind of world, right?
It's a completely different world. All right, cut, lunch break. You're like, what? That's all set up. Let's do this.
Yeah, we'll call you back in 6 hours. And
exactly.
Waiting for the right light, or it's raining, or whatever. Now,
send it.
Yeah. Now, where do you see kind of Nitro Circus in 5 or 10 years?
Our goal is to take Nitro Circus and give kids an outlet. Kids like Aaron Wills Fotheringham that has spinal bifida, but always wanted to be, you know, an action sports guy. And, you know, now Wheels, he builds his own wheelchairs, he builds his own ramps, he just did his first ever grind rail at Woodward, and he's such an inspiration. But to give guys like that, I mean, heck, on our first tour we had a guy, we called him Pogo Fred, Pogo Stick guy, and he was doing stuff on Pogo Stick that no one had ever done. I'm like, you know what, it doesn't matter if you're a rollerblader or a skateboarder or whatever it is. If you're the best at what you do, you're having fun with life, and you want to be able to travel the world with a bunch of like-minded individuals, I want to have an outlet that they can go to and that they can make a living and you know, do it as safe as possible. So that's hopefully Nitro will continue to grow. I know next year we're doing a couple shows at the same time. You know, not like a circ, but as kind of a platform to be like, okay, let's grow action sports together, and let's make this a livable, like something that parents can be like, yeah, my kid's a part of Nitro Circus, and be proud of it.
Yeah. And now, would you ever see yourself kind of like becoming like a permanent fixture at like a Vegas casino or something like that, like putting on like a show that you do, like say like 330 days a year or something like that?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing because one of our concepts, and I'm speaking kind of out of turn, we did nothing signed, nothing, whatever.
Yeah.
But what we'd like to do in the future is to have a permanent residence, whether it's in Woodward, or what would be even better would be Vegas, where say, okay, let's have our own arena, let's do this whole show, but more than that, let's have a place that we can practice.
Yeah.
Like if we have a place like Vegas, we can say, okay, 20 guys are going to be practicing. They're maybe open it to the public or something. I mean, just, you know, to come watch Nitro Circus practice. But to have those guys, okay, you've got trainers, you have, you know, you've got each other to work and to work on new stuff. And if you need a new ramp, we can help you. And you have a place to practice all the time. And you have a place to stay, and you have food, and you have gym and all this stuff. So that's my biggest goal, whether it's in Vegas where you're doing a show all the time or whether it's somewhere else, is to give these, you know, these up and comers a place to improve and to work on their skills. Because right now, there's nothing like the Gigantic ramp. There's nothing like the mega ramp. You can't just go and practice these skill sets. It's learn on the job, and that's a scary place to learn. So for sure.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for your time today.
No, hey, really appreciate it.